Hey you guys, welcome to a brand new super fantastic episode of Variety Talk. Today me and Hannah will be spilling the tea on relationships and dating advice. Today we do have a special guest with us, and it is Chris, Hannah's boyfriend and my bestie. He will be here joining us to give a little bit of information about how him and Hannah maintain a healthy relationship with each other. I, on the other hand, will be talking about how I maintain being content while single. Alrighty? And I will also be giving a little bit of funny dating moments that you guys all asked for. So, whenever I first became single, honestly, it was really hard and I hated it. And I think it was just because Hannah and Chris were in a relationship and then everybody else around me was in relationships. So I was kind of like, oh man, like, I'm out of the relationship crew, like it's just me. But I guess that was because I was in a negative state of mind. And once I changed my mindset, then I realized that I actually did enjoy being single. Like, for me, being single allowed me to just have the time for myself to think. It allowed me to realize like what type of guys I like, what kind of guys I don't like, what annoying things they do that I won't tolerate. It helped me to learn more about myself in a sense and more about taking care of my well-being, I think that being single can definitely help you grow as a person. Like, just that time that you have for yourself, like you literally have no one else to worry about but yourself. Like, it's a time for you to be selfish. It's a time for you to realize the things that you want in life, Maybe you're young, you didn't want to be by yourself, or you were in a relationship like I was and you were content with being with someone. And being single just really allowed me to realize that I can do a lot of things on my own and I don't necessarily need anyone to do anything for me. I really also think that being content in your singleness is important as well. Like, whenever you're content with just being by yourself, you're not necessarily going out there and looking for anyone, whether you're a guy or a girl. Girls, sometimes we go out and we're looking for a man, but if you're content with your singleness, you're not going to do that. You'll wait for the right person to come. And that's the same for men as well. Sometimes men don't know how to be alone. They always want to have a girlfriend. They always want someone to be there. But if you're content with yourself while you're single, like, once you get into a relationship, you won't lose yourself in that relationship, if you know what I'm saying. Because I know from my own experience, once I got into in a relationship, like, I kind of lost myself for a minute, didn't really know what I liked and disliked because I was always around this one person all the time. And whenever I allowed myself to be content in my singleness, my eyes were open so huge. Like, I can't even describe to you, just like, I feel much happier now that I'm single than I was in a relationship. And I know that whenever I get into my next relationship, because I'm content now, like, the next relationship will be so much better than the last one was. So I know that at times it's hard because your friends might be in relationships. You might be seeing cute relationship stuff on Instagram or Facebook, and you want that to be you. But just know that everything happens in its own time. Like, for now, if you're single, own it, be you, do what you want to do. Nobody is telling you to do anything. You're not going to sleep at night worrying about somebody. Like, legit, be content in your singleness. It is literally, for me, has been the best time ever. I'm not even in a relationship now, but still, I don't know how long I'm gonna be single, but it's been a great time. So enjoy yourself while you're single. I know that we put up an Instagram poll and a lot of you guys wanted to hear my funny dating stories. Honestly, I don't really have any funny dating stories because I only had one bad dating experience and it was horrible, which I would tell you guys about. And hopefully he's not ever gonna watch this video, okay? But before I get into that, I just do want to say that whenever you're dating is fun, but at the same time, it can be hard. Just because it's that little like weird awkward stage where you don't really know a person. And I know for me, I'm super awkward in the first place. So it's just a really weird time. But for me, I have learned that, you know, maybe a guy necessarily isn't my type, but I will, if they ask me on a date, I will go out with them just to, you know, get to know a little bit about them, just to see if their personality is something that I like. So maybe that's something that you might want to try too, instead of just rejecting a man or a woman if they ask you out for a date. Instead, just go ahead and go out with them and just see how it is. After all, it is just a date. You know, it's not like you're being committed to the person. You're just going out and you're getting to know about each other. But that's my take on dating for whenever you're single. Well, duh, you would have to be single in order to date. But I mean, there's some people out here that don't do that. But anyway, so I will tell you guys about my funny dating story, whatever. So this guy had asked me out on a date. I really didn't know much about him, of course, but just from a look standpoint, like, he wasn't really my type. And I hate to say that because looks aren't everything, but you know, looks is the first thing people judge each other off of. So just from that, he really wasn't my type, but we went out on a date. We decided to go to the movies with each other to go see, what did we see? We went to go see, what is it called? Freak. Insidious. That's what we went to go see. We went to go see Insidious, the whatever last one they had. So we went to the movies, and he paid for it, of course, but we went to Studio Movie Girl, and we sat down, and I was hungry, so I was gonna get myself something to eat. And at first he was like, oh yeah, you know, get what you want. So I ordered some cheese fries. And then the guy, like, our waiter comes, and he's like, oh, okay, like, because, you know, they do like the card thing now where they can put your card in before your food comes out. So he's like, do you have a card that I can go ahead and put the cost on or whatever? And he's looking at the guy at this point, and the guy literally turns and he looks at me like this. And we both sit there in awkward silence, y'all. Literally awkward silence. And so I was like, yeah, I have a card. So I pull out my card, I give it to the waiter. And then the waiter walks off, right? And so the guy that I was with, that I'm on the date with, he's like, oh, I would have paid for that for you. Boy, what? Like, he literally sat there, y'all, and looked at me in awkward silence for about 3 minutes while the waiter was sitting there. And I know the waiter felt uncomfortable because I thought that the guy was going to go ahead and pull out his card to pay, but he didn't. So I was really confused. So I told him, I was like, oh, no, you know, like, it's fine. I have the money to pay for it, whatever. So during the movie, this guy literally comments on every single thing that is happening. And if you know me personally, you know that I am a movie person. And if you're talking during a movie, like, I absolutely cannot. So this guy is like, oh, this movie's not even scary. Oh, like, we should have picked something else to watch. Boy, I didn't even pick this to watch like you did. So I was once again confused. And the movie's finally over. I am ecstatic, ready to go home. But he's like, hey, do you want to go over here to this restaurant? And we can just talk for a little bit. So I was like, okay, fine. So we go to the restaurant, and he like orders a drink or whatever. I order a drink. And we're sitting there talking, and just randomly, while he's in the middle of his conversation, he's like, I really like your hair. And I was like, thank you, because my hair was like out in my fro like this. And so, like, I'm trying to ask him, you know, like, what do you do? Like, when did you graduate? And he's just randomly stopping me and saying the same thing. Just like, I would ask him, you know, like, hey, when did you graduate? And he'd be like, man, I really, really just like your hair. And it was super weird and awkward, and I would just kind of ignore it, kept talking. But then all of a sudden he was like, can I touch your hair? No! Like, that's weird. No, you can't touch my hair. Heck no. So that happened. Also, I like asked him, you know, like, so what do you do? And he was like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. And when people say that, like, okay, you can be an entrepreneur, but I'd like at least back it up. Tell me what your plans are, like the steps you're trying to do to get there. The guy was just like, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. Okay, so in other words, you don't do anything. So that was a really awkward date. I hope that he never watches this video because I'm not trying to be mean or nothing, but that was just really awkward. Really, really awkward. And yeah, that's the only bad date that I've ever been on. That was completely weird. I was very, very happy to go home, to say the least. But anyway, I will turn it over to Hannah and Chris now to tell you about how they maintain a healthy relationship so that once you get out of your singleness and you're content with yourself, you can go into a relationship and then you'll know how to maintain a healthy one. All right?
Hey guys, it's Chris and Hannah here, and we are going to talk about how to maintain a healthy relationship, tips that kind of work for us. We polled it and a lot of you guys asked for this one, but some of you also asked if we could cover how we met, and since it's not that long of a story, we thought we would just go ahead and bonus it for you. We met through a mutual friend. His name is also Chris. Shout out to Chris if you see this. And they were playing disc golf. Mm-hmm. And up at the college campus nearby, and so I came and said hello, and the other Chris was a total bro and was like, yeah. You're single, he's single, you guys should exchange numbers, like literally said it like that. And so we did, and
yeah,
3 years later, yep, 3 years later, here we are. And so we're gonna talk to you about tips that have kind of like worked for us. Yep. You know, so far so
we're
good.
We're still here.
Yeah, we're still here to give you these tips. So our first tip is to have an activity that you guys do together. Like prioritize bonding time with the two of you. Mm-hmm. For us, we are kind of laid back people. Like that's how we recharge, is to just be chill. Yeah. And so we Netflix together. Like that's probably one of my favorite things that we do together is just watch our favorite show and relax. We have certain shows that are just for us that we watch, that we follow, and it's nice to have something that you guys both get into and that you share together, and you're also just relaxing. Like there's no pressure. It doesn't have to be anything super exciting. For us, that's just really nice. Like I think that time is special.
Yeah, definitely, because we're both so busy in our own lives, so it's nice to just have some downtime and some quality time to spend together, not have to be up and about doing anything because we're so busy the rest of the time. Yeah, it's just nice to relax with one another and just enjoy each other's company.
All right, so our next tip is how to communicate, like learn how that other person communicates, this sounds weird, but like learn how you fight, because that's really important. You're gonna fight in relationships, and
definitely, it's inevitable.
It is, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you guys set boundaries and learn the best way that you guys can talk about stuff. Like we learned our love languages.
Yeah.
And
that
so
was fun. Spent a day doing that.
Yeah, that's also something that's just kind of fun to do together. So that could be an activity that you guys have together. But like learning us, one of our main ones is quality time together. Mm-hmm. Or like quality time is a good way that we show and receive love, and so that's why I think we've Netflix together. Like we're not doing anything, but that shows an intimacy that we're just hanging out and like communicating like how we fight. Like he is very much. He needs the space to kind of cool down and think about it, and then he could come back with like a level head, and I don't really do that. Like the longer I wait, the more freaked out I get, and so like I want to talk about stuff right now.
She gets very anxious and wants to rush into it whenever we're both not exactly in the right mood to have that sort of discussion at that time.
Right.
So,
and that's something that I've learned from him, that like I think is a lot more healthy. Instead of like saying things in the heat of the moment and getting all even more worked up, just taking that space. I've had to learn how to do that. It's kind of hard and I'm still working on it, but like definitely learn how to take that space and come back. But just whatever works best for you guys. Like that might not work with you and your significant other, but for us, that's what we found.
Yeah.
Just talking about how you need to communicate best. So
Yeah, and I mean, like, and that also ties into just also being open-minded about the other person. Like,
definitely, yeah. We have like very different perspectives on stuff and like
Yes.
different backgrounds, and so being open-minded is something that I think is a key to how we've had such a good relationship.
Definitely. It makes it very interesting, though.
Yeah.
That's what I love about our relationship is that, you know, culturally and everything, Hannah's very different from my cultural background and
Right.
the way we were both raised differently in some
That influences
ways.
how we think about things, and
So, but that also makes it very interesting as long as you're open-minded once again. 'Cause-
yeah, it's cool if you're open-minded about it. Like differences like that can be really hard if you're not, and so
Yeah, if you're stubborn and set in your ways, then just to begin with, a lot of relationships might not work out.
not even just like romantic relationships, but like any kind of relationship,
Yeah.
like coworkers or family or friends. Like I think that's super important to just be
Yeah.
open-minded, because at like the root of it isn't a place like a bad place. Like the root of any kind of different perspective that they're trying to share with you is that it's in love or respect, and they want to share their points of view. So if you
Yeah.
remember that, like differences in opinion aren't that big a deal. It's just like a cool learning experience.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to have different perspectives. That's what makes everybody unique in their own way. And especially if you care about that other person, then you would want to know any sort of differences I would
Right.
think that they might have. And that just makes it a lot more interesting anyways.
Definitely about that.
A lot more fun.
Yeah. And like I think that's another thing. Like we didn't rush getting to know each other. We are still learning about each other. And we have gotten a lot more weird since we've dated, like at the beginning. You know, because you're in
Yeah.
honeymoon phase, you're in date mode, and you want to be like cool, and
Then
I can
you
be
start
weird.
to get comfortable.
And that's when you get weird.
That's when your true self comes out, and once you start to get comfortable around that other person, and that can honestly be that make or break point as well in a relationship. Because
Yeah.
you might find some things you might not like about the person, but
That's when you
there's
get to
also
decide.
there's also a great chance that, you know, you'll find out some things, some
Quirks
hidden
that you
gems,
like, yeah.
some hidden gems that you didn't know about to begin with.
Definitely.
And that's always great.
And being like on, because like if you're gonna spend a lot of time with that person, you might as well be yourself. I'm not saying go full force weird at the beginning, but definitely
Don't want to scare anyone.
No. But you know, I guess if they're scared off that easily, they may not be the person for
then,
you.
Then
but-
they're not open-minded.
Ooh, nice. Going back to our tips there. See, we implement these in our lives. So yeah, just be honest and be real. And I think that goes with all of our tips so far, just like how you communicate, like that's being honest, or like times together and what works best for you guys. So I guess just don't rush that, and it's fun, you know, learning new stuff about that person. And it's really intimate, like being like as weird, like being weird with him. Like, you know, we can be ourselves, and I know that he's not gonna judge me. He's probably gonna do something like just as weird.
Yeah, most of the time.
Definitely. Yeah. So
It's great.
it is. I like it. So yeah, basically those are our tips for you to, you know, prioritize time together, find an activity that's just yours, learn how you communicate, learn how you fight, be open-minded all the time.
That's my biggest one.
Yes, he's like
sure.
definitely about that. We've learned a lot about each other about
Too many
life.
people are not open-minded.
No, yeah, no, like just because someone has a different opinion of you than you doesn't mean that they're bad or that
No.
like you're not compatible with them. Like the differences between people in the world is what makes it interesting. If we were all the same, that'd be super boring.
Yes.
Like super
Extremely
boring. So like that's okay. You can respect someone's opinion and it be different, and like you can still love and learn and grow from them. And then just be yourself and don't rush, and enjoy the intimacy of just like learning the quirks about that person, because I think like that's a privilege. No one else is as close with them, or like learning those things about them means that you're getting closer with them than normal people would, or the everyday person. So if everything at the end of the day, your relationship is rooted in like friendship and honesty and trust. Like, he's my best friend, and like, we're always honest with each other. We like trust each other 100%, and I think that's why a lot of these other things are super easy, or not always easy, but you know, they come easier because we have that solid foundation of friendship and respect for one another. So.
Yeah, it definitely makes whenever you do have some rough patches a lot better anyways.
Yeah, because you're fighting for something like worth it.
Yeah, and they become fewer and farther apart.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and I hope that these tips were helpful. If you have any questions, or we'd love to hear your point of view, definitely subscribe, like, comment on our videos, and hopefully we'll see you next time.